Na 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 na. Happy 4th of July, everybody. I thought I would start with a little fanfare. Okay. This week in adoption, ... Well, happy 4th of July. If you are listening, I'm recording on this Independence Day in 2024. Although I'm sure the information I'm going to be talking about, if you're listening on another day, is relevant. So listen up. Lots has gone on, and first things first, I do want to shout out to my single mamas, all the single ladies. As I am one myself, that we just had 3 single mamas adopt back to back to back. Yay! Is it coming back? I hope so. I hope our single mamas are being chosen more than they have in a long time. That would make me very happy. And them too. Okay, so there's that. And here's a piece of advice. If you are working with a consultant, when they give you advice, especially when it comes time to going to the hospital, accepting a situation, anything to do with the match, but altogether, when your consultant gives you advice, take it. It will save you some heartache, most likely. Okay? That's our secret. They give you advice. I know how hard you're fighting against it sometimes. These are impossible decisions to you. And the reason we give you the advice we give you, will we be right 100% of the time? Probably not. 95% of the time? Probably so. Because we have been doing this for years, and we have seen time and time and time and time and time again what can go wrong and what can go right. And oftentimes we see the signs. I saw the sign. I think it's the sun, but we're going to go with sign for that little. And I'm talking about things like when to travel. Do you travel? Every situation is different. And I don't want to I'm not calling clients out because I get it. But I want to tell you one little scenario. And I love this family dearly. I feel bad, but just for the point of an example, this family chose to drive 16 hours for a situation that sounded wonderful. This mom has given it so much thought, blah, 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 blah. The mom was traveling from another state. I said, don't start traveling until she is there or on the plane and it's she's at least going to be there. And they said, no, we have to be there when she is there. This was a very nuanced situation. No, we have to be there when she is there. And I understood that. They didn't want to lose, if she was only going to be there for a window of time, they wanted to show her that they were there for her. And I was saying, you will be there for her, but a little bit later. And if you miss her, you miss her. But they chose to listen to their own intuition, and that's fine. And most of the time I say, trust your gut. But that usually has to do with whether a situation is right for you or not. This is stuff you've never done before. We've seen so many times. Long story short, they had to make that 16-hour trek back. A lot happened in between. I'm not going to go into it. Here's another situation. We had a family that was matched with an expectant mom. We could see the writing on the wall pretty clearly that she was trying to milk them for as much money as possible. This was a little bit of an independent adoption case, which means family was hiring their own attorney to kind of handle the legalities of it. And they were so close to pregnancy, and mom kept asking for money but wasn't returning the calls of the attorney. And their consultant said, don't send any more money until we know that she is doing all the things and communicating and whatever. And they're like, no. We have a great relationship. We want to send the money. And they sent the money. And like 2 days after they sent the last amount of money, and she knew she just got that last check or whatever, however it was being handled, she bailed. So these are just two little examples of how, we've just done so many of these. It's not that we don't want you to be there, but we've seen people travel when the expectant birth date is, on a certain day, and they want to be there. They want to make sure they're there. So they travel a week before thinking that's the date that she's going to deliver. And then they end up waiting for 3 more weeks because she's late. And then the baby's in NICU, and then ICPC starts. So they might be there for a month now, and they are like, we just want to get home. This is awful. We just want to get home. And you would have only been there for 2 weeks instead of 4 weeks if you would have taken the advice of your consultant. So remind yourself, we hired a consultant for a reason. They know what they're doing, unless they're brand new, and they don't, but we have 11 years under our belt, and my other consultant has been in this industry for over 20. We have seen this. We know what we're talking about. We're not going to get it right 100% of the time, but usually we will. So just remember why you hired your consultant or the person that's giving you advice who has seen this. Okay. That's that. Hopeful parents are a commodity. That was my note. So I want to tell you, I just want to kind of talk about that a little bit. Sounds kind of icky. And I have heard hopeful parents say time and time again, who is in this with me, for us, right? This is not easy for us. The agencies aren't returning our calls. We're not getting support. We don't know what to do. We're not getting advice. You're a commodity. Hopeful adoptive parents are a dime a dozen. An agency can find a hopeful adoptive parent in a heartbeat. All they have to do is either post or pick up the phone or text me. They can find any family they want most of the time, for an expectant mother in 5 seconds. They don't need you. There are way more of you than there are expectant moms placing babies. There are way more hopeful adoptive parents wanting to adopt a child than there are expectant moms or moms placing a child. So where does that leave you? If you are serious about adopting a baby, you need to put it all out there. I mean, obviously, I am going to suggest every day of the week that you work with a consultant. Again, it goes back to we know what we're doing. We have connections. It's not just about signing up with one agency and putting all your eggs in one basket, but instead spreading your wings a little bit. So just know that agencies typically are focused on their expectant mamas, as we want them to be, as they should be. If you are matched with this mama, you want all the attention on her. You want her to be supported, both emotionally and, building that strong relationship so that you feel more confident in your match and that she is getting the support she needs and the counseling. So it's not that they're not paying attention to you. You might feel that way. Number one, usually agencies don't have a ton of people working. So their time is best spent with the expectant mom and all the legalities of that. And agencies really like working with families that are getting that outside support, that are getting that outside education, where they know they don't have to explain every single thing to them. They don't have the time for that. They would rather work with families that are getting that somewhere else. Excuse me. I just want to stop for a second and encourage you. If you haven't been listening to the Adoption Roadmap podcast, number one, I have a request for you. I have a request of you that I would highly appreciate. If you are listening to this on the podcast and you're liking what you're hearing, and this is giving you some knowledge bombs and some aha moments and some golden nuggets that you feel are useful, can you please just put this on pause for a second and go leave me a review at the Adoption Roadmap podcast, Apple Podcast, wherever you get your podcast, 5-star review, but also write a review. I love that feedback, and that helps get it out to more listeners. Number two, the last episode I did with Kate Shanahan, it was called Building Resilience and Embracing Diversity. You guys, it's a really good episode. It's an hour long, but it'll fly by. If you are somebody who is a white family who adopted a Black baby, if you are somebody thinking about adopting transracially, if you are somebody who has overcome adversity, and in this case, Kate had cancer right after having her first child and before adopting, and wondered whether you'd be able to adopt again, or had really come face to face with your own mortality. If that rings true to you, do not miss this episode. Building Resilience and Embracing Diversity with Kate Shanahan on the Adoption Roadmap podcast. Go listen to it right now and tell me what you think. I think you're going to love it as much as I loved that conversation. Lastly, I just came back from the National Council for Adoption Conference. Looking Back and Moving Forward was the name of it. And I love going every year. It's for adoption professionals from all across the country. We usually have a table. We didn't this year, so I didn't know what the hell to do with myself. I I need to have a job. But it's so nice to be able to hug the people that I work with from our agencies and our affiliate partnerships and all the people we work with in our network. For them to see me and for me to see them is so, so, so important for me and for you if you're working with us. So I will continue to go. I promise you that. But here are a couple of the nuggets that I took out. There were some great speakers. Beth Hall from PACT opened the conference with a keynote. Everything she had to say is like what I have been spewing from my little soapbox for years. So I loved it. But she ended with this quote from Louis C.K. that says, "When a person tells you that you hurt them, you don't get to decide that you didn't." Oh, that's so good. That's so good. When a person tells you that you hurt them, you don't get to decide that you didn't. Just take that in. I went to a session on drug exposure with a doctor. I learned a couple things that are kind of scary. Fentanyl is 50 times more potent than heroin. 2 milligrams, which is like a pinch of salt, is considered lethal. So it's amazing to me how many people use fentanyl and give birth, and these babies are so, so, so resilient. Most of her patients who use substances are polysubstance users. This was interesting, and I didn't know that. When a birth mom is taking anxiety medications, for example, benzodiazepines, they have a more significant withdrawal, which is delayed. So anxiety meds causes withdrawal in the babies that are significant withdrawals and can be delayed. So if a birth mom is taking anti-anxiety meds during pregnancy, they should try to change to a different medication during the pregnancy. That is something that I did not know. And I also learned that symptoms from withdrawal can last for 6 or more months, but might not require medication for the withdrawal. And morphine is the standard treatment for withdrawal. Also, exposed babies are very rigid. So when you pick up a baby who hasn't been exposed, like their head goes back, and exposed babies are very rigid, like you can barely bend their arm. And so if you notice that in your baby who you are adopting, who is very rigid from withdrawal, you should request an OT consult, an occupational therapy consult for the baby to help them relax. I loved that piece of advice, not something I knew about. Also, this was really important. The baby feels your energy. Okay. And I think we all knew that to a point, but how we speak about our baby affects how we treat our baby. So pay attention to your language. If you're telling everybody, oh, the mom used drugs and the baby was exposed, so who knows what that's going to look, I don't know, whatever. If you're talking negatively, that is going to affect how you treat your baby. And the baby feels that. So think about your language. She also said we tell all of our families, work with an adoption competent therapist. If you don't know why, just look inside yourself. There's plenty of reasons why. But this doctor said it so clearly. We tend to think we can handle this new situation that has been brought upon us. Being a parent for the first time, period, the end. Being a parent of an exposed baby. If you have never done it before, you are going to have some issues. So seek out therapy. Don't be afraid. And from another session that I went to, we heard from Alec Ingold, who is a linebacker for, I can't remember which football franchise, but he said a great quote that I'm going to end with today. The opportunity of a lifetime is only there for the lifetime of the opportunity. We have a baby born situation right now that I am trying to find a family for. There will be a lot of families that are on the fence about this opportunity. So let me say this to you. The opportunity of a lifetime is only there for the opportunity of a lifetime is only there for the lifetime of the opportunity. Go take it. Have a great week. See you next time on This Week in Adoption. Bye-bye.